Hey everybody, it's Andrew Lowen with Deliverance here. I have an update. I wanted to share with you this 2024 feedback survey that I put out. It has over 400 responses on it, and I wanted to go through it with you guys. So in case you guys don't know, I put out a survey asking for your feedback. I wanted to get an idea of what it is that you wanted in the expansion, how you enjoyed the first Deliverance campaign, and all sorts of other things like that. So the let me actually just get into sharing my screen real quick. All right, here we go. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this. I'm going to be a little tiny dude in the lower left corner of the screen, and I'll explain what the survey is and what its purpose is, and awesome, interesting things I learned and things that surprised me. So I asked you guys for your feedback on the current the game, the Deliverance game, the campaign, your favorite characters, and other things like that. I also used it as an opportunity to ask about how you guys prefer to be communicated with, as you see with this very first question. If people hadn't played a game, I asked them why and other things like that. And then I also asked them, marketing related questions, about pricing and whatnot. In general, my goal is to give you guys everything that you want and delight you with the expansion and with everything else that we're doing. So I thought I would share some of the inside look. Right now we have 406 responses. We'll probably go up in responses. And for those that are watching this for the very first time, I do have a giveaway that I am doing for everybody who fills out this survey. And it's a big giveaway. Like we're talking, you can win a set of gosh, you're not going to be able to see this, are you? These are painted angel miniatures, and they are ready for whoever happens to win. I'm also giving away an original sketched art piece for Deliverance that is signed by the artist Dan Maynard, and we're giving away a free game as well. If it so happens that we win an award, I know we've been nominated at this point for 5 Golden Geek Awards in the 2023 Board Game Geek Golden Geek competition. If we happen to win one, I'm going to double the amount of rewards and double the amount of winners. So I'm giving out 2 sets of painted minis, 2 sets of original art pieces, and 2 Deliverance Deluxe games. And so that's just because I'm excited and I can't hold it in. And I love you guys. Want to bless you guys. And so if you haven't yet filled out the feedback survey, I'll make sure a link is in the comments or in the description of this video below. And so it's just a Google form. Takes like 5 minutes to fill out. So unless you get really wordy with your responses. And then in that case, I appreciate it even more. So let's dive into this survey. So I asked lots of different questions and I split you up based on your answers. So how do you, and by the way, if you want to fill out the survey, please cease watching this video now, fill the survey out, and then come back and watch, because it doesn't do any good to spoil the answers or whatever, or tell you what everyone's favorites are, because that's going to change what your opinion is. And I don't care about what everyone thinks. I only care about what you think, if that makes sense. I know that it's all kind of amalgamated into what everyone thinks, split into, this pie chart is split into, the various choices, but I don't want those choices to influence the way that you think. So please, before watching this video, if you have yet to fill out the survey, please do fill out the survey and then come back to watch the video. So that said, here goes. So I asked how you prefer to get updates about Deliverance, and dominantly emails were the way. 85% of you, 85% preferred to get Deliverance updates via email. Funny enough, I'm posting this video on YouTube and I did not even include YouTube as an option. What does that mean about where my head is? I don't know. So I guess YouTube is my least, I don't know, whatever. I'm sure it'll be a bigger deal here in the future, but I really like using YouTube. But I don't know. So you guys will have to tell me what you think if you appreciate getting updates via YouTube. So the Facebook community, the Discord community, and Board Game Geek were all kind of even. Deliverance emails were dominant, and Kickstarter updates were the next, by far. Now, I will say that I posted this and everywhere except for email, because I try not to, I had to actually write the email and it took a little while, and it was a few days before I got to actually send the email out to everyone. So I gave people a Facebook group notification, a Discord community, a Board Game Geek update, and a Kickstarter update, like around April 30th when I had this when it was first posted. And emails were still at like 65% of the people preferred, and it was by far the most popular. Before I actually shared this via email, Discord was dominant over Facebook and Board Game Geek. And afterward, it was interesting because, Facebook and Board Game Geek kind of both caught up, which I thought was really interesting. I think that emails and Kickstarter updates are most important. I actually think that our Discord community is very active and very engaged. So they probably got to things first. And maybe the first place that people saw my request for a form was, or to fill out this form was actually via the email. So even though they frequent the Facebook group and the Board Game Geek listing or something like that. Okay, so I asked people if they owned a copy or not. And I just kept stressing that it's okay if you don't own a copy, that you're still will be entered in for the contest. I mean, if you end up winning a copy, then you will own a copy because you filled out the form, right? So we had 350-ish people say that they did own, and 53 said they did not. And for the people who didn't, I asked them what the most important reason was that they haven't yet purchased. And the largest group said they're trying to decide if the game is for them. The next largest, I'm waiting for the next Kickstarter. The next largest after that, my friends have the game and I play their copy. I thought this was really interesting. And they still plan to purchase and still haven't done so yet, is the next group. And then the price is too high. What I want is not in stock. And then there are a couple of extra different things that people put one at a time. Now, for those that have played, well, actually, I guess what's the most important reason you haven't purchased doesn't factor into the next question, but it's actually how many times have you played? 16.5% of our people have played 0 times. Then you have roughly a quarter of our people have played 1 to 4 games. Then 34.2%, 130, or have played 5 to 15 games. And then we have our hardcores, which is almost again a quarter that have played 16 or more games. So the thing that stood out to me the most is that over half the people that are responding to this survey have played at least 5 games, which is really cool. So that's pretty exciting. So for people who have played not at all, what's prevented you from playing? And generally, we got a couple of different results, but the biggest one was time. They don't have enough time or just need to make the time, etc. Sometimes we've had some big ones like death in the family and whatnot, but just in general, sometimes people were pricing, and the some people were talking about so the various add-ons and that kind of thing. The gaming group consists of 5 players, and when there are only 4 of us, they are uninterested. So 5 players. If we added a 5th player, that would fix that one. And somebody only supported the Kickstarter for the minis. But generally, it's like, I don't own a copy. I don't have the time. And, it's on the shelf of shame, and I'm, it's waiting. So that's most popular there. All right. So now people who have played 1 to 4 games, really any one game or more, I asked all the same questions, and I was really surprised at the answers. So what player counts do you typically play? So 2-player really dominated at this, 1 to 4 game level. We had a lot of solo players, and then 3, 4, and then a couple of people said they wish they could play at 5. And the favorite mode of play in Deliverance is the campaign. The new scenario missions received some love, but they're so new, and they're not, that a lot of people haven't actually played them or even heard of them. So if you haven't heard, we have new scenario missions, which is kind of a cool blend of the skirmish mode of the game, which is like a one-shot adventure when you're at game night and you want to do something that you can open up, play, and pack up. But for people that also love the campaign, custom victory conditions and unique bosses and that kind of thing. So it kind of blends skirmish and campaign into this new scenario mission style, which you're going to see more of that in the next expansion. And of course, we release a new scenario pack once a quarter for free for everybody. So, but the campaign was the most popular. What was funny about this is that I spent thousands of games playing the skirmish mode and refining that when we were building Deliverance. And the campaign, comparative to the thousands of games we played on skirmish, it was like an afterthought because the pieces were all put together. Everything was put together. The system was developed and all of that. And it's just really cool to see how much people love the campaign. We worked hard on it, but the amount of effort that was required to build this game really what came down to like the skirmish mode versus taking those pieces and putting them in interesting combinations, which is where the campaign mode went. It was just very interesting to see overall every player count. Everybody loves the campaign. And I think I will say, by the way, I think that a lot of people really like the campaign because it's a little shorter. It plays in an hour, and it's rare to have a dungeon crawl skirmish type game RPG in a box that plays in an hour. And that's kind of where the campaign fits. So which angel do you prefer to play the most? This was really interesting, and this changed dramatically at the various player counts. I can't believe out of 105 people that have played 1 to 4 games, a third of them almost play Michael and is their favorite angel. So this wasn't one that you could pick more than one answer. So you had to pick Michael, and that's it. Look at who's that? Sardius. Only one player here like Sardius. So, so Michael, Gabriel, Azrael, and Uriel are the top 4. After that one, it's Miko, Shula, and I want to say Talu and Christine are tied, and then Sardius is like down by his lonesome. First timers. I don't know why they don't pick Sardius, but that's who it is. And I think I know why they pick Michael. Number one, he's got the name, right? He's got the awesome name. Also, his character is a little bit more straightforward. I don't want to say simple, but it's more straightforward where you just, punch stuff so you can punch stuff even harder with, Mighty Smite. And we'll see some trends here as well, by the way. All right. So what skirmish and scenario difficulty levels do you most enjoy playing? You can select all. So the lower difficulty levels were more popular for players that had less experience, but it was actually surprised that the heroic difficulty was almost tied with adventure, which is the lowest difficulty level. The one thing that I didn't say is like Deliverance is too hard at any difficulty level for me, which I did in others. I just didn't ask it here. So there's this I'm not sure, which I added because I thought maybe people would not know, or maybe people haven't played multiple difficulties, or maybe they didn't know they existed. And I have a feeling that there are a bunch of answers that I'm just not factoring in because these 13 people didn't actually find the answer they were looking for, So have you played any missions of the campaign? 57% said yes, and 42% said no, or 43. So that number becomes a lot different at higher player counts. So, okay, so moving into 5 to 15, I'll move a little faster through these just so you can see like the trends and the differences. So 2 players still dominates, but actually 4 players, the next most popular. 3 and 4 players get a lot more popular for people that have played more. And so the solo intercessor and 2 angel play is actually less popular for people who play more often. And you have a lot more people wishing they could play at 5 players. And so down here, you've got what's your favorite mode of play? Very similar skirmish, campaign, and scenario missions, like a really similar breakdown. What angel do you prefer to play the most? Michael has lost 10% of his popularity right now. Still, actually, the most popular angel to play. Michael, number 1, Azrael, number 2. Gabriel lost his 2nd place to Azrael here. So Gabriel and Uriel are kind of still tied. Sardius gets way more popular. And then you've got Miko, Shula, and so actually Shula is more popular than Miko here. Talu and Christine's more popular than Talu here. So very interesting. And what skirmish and scenario difficulty levels do you most enjoy playing? This is where I actually did add Deliverance is too hard for me at any difficulty level. I wish I added that to the first one. I'm sure I would have gotten a lot more results there. Now, still, adventure is actually much more popular than heroic, versus people who haven't played very much, but you get a lot more representation of Nightmare Abyssal and people who like pain. So I thought that was cool. Now, look, over 3/4 of people have played the campaign at this point, which makes sense. 5 to 15 games. It's a lot. Now, for people who have played a bunch, what did they play at? A lot of people solo. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but the solo intercessor is less popular than two angels. I think this is for two reasons. Number one, the two angels allows you to see more going on, or more characters at a faster clip. So you can decide who's your favorite. You can play a couple of games with the two angels and then decide which one you want to play in the campaign, or maybe you want the variety of two angels. Another thing is that the intercessor solo one angel with the intercessor is actually harder to play. It's harder to win in the solo plus intercessor. There are just I think that it's just we didn't tune the intercessor to be as fully capable like a standard angel. We wanted the intercessor to cause the one angel you played to really stand out a lot more, and I think that it does that so beautifully. It's just that it's not it's a little bit too much of a handicap to have only one health bar and only one target angel on the battlefield rather than both angels on the battlefield in a two angel game that can absorb damage and kind of take hits for each other and other things like that. So we are looking at potentially buffing the intercessor here for the expansion, and also the reprint of the base game and giving it to players in the update pack as well, that we plan for players that want to get some of the new content that we're updating in the second edition. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Solo players generally like playing two angels, for, I think, based on what the community says, those two reasons. Now 3, 4, and 5 players are all actually, well, 3 and 4 players are quite tied close to it, and 5 players is still quite popular. I just think I might need to play or set up 5. We've been working on some experimental rules. We're trying to make it fun and engaging. We don't want a bunch of downtime and all of that. It'd be very easy, honestly. It'd be very easy to tack on a 5th player to Deliverance. You have enough map tiles in the base game that you could play 5 players. You have 10 map tiles plus the 11th, which is the Heavenly Gates. I just want to make sure that it is like it's implemented well. I don't want to do it sloppy. You guys know we take a lot of time to do things right, and so there you go. Now look at this though. The favorite mode of play in Deliverance, there's a noticeable jump in the campaign. There's also the new scenario missions are about the same, but people tend to like the campaign who play the game a lot. They like the campaign more than skirmish, which is very interesting. I'm most curious about this. Look at the difference here. I think that players who play more than 15 times, look at how small Michael is. He's not first place or second or third place or fourth. Oh my goodness. We've got Gabriel as number 1. And Uriel is a consistently strong performer in all of these, by the way. It's because he's like an armed plate wearing fighter with a cool sword, and he's also on fire. So yeah, Gabriel, very popular because of his prayer builds and movement, I think. And Uriel's super strong because hitting things a lot of times in one round and being on fire is really cool. Then you actually have Shula and Sardius are both tied. This is very interesting because I think Shula and Sardius do a really good job as support characters. A lot of players who play a lot of games like to support. I think Shula, Gabriel, and Sardius do a great job at that. And then you've got Michael, who likes to hit stuff with his giant 2-handed sword. Azrael down there is fallen quite out of favor with the players. He's my favorite guy. He's my favorite character. Christine, after that, she's getting some love. And then you got Taolu and Miko are actually tied, which is funny because if you go by what Discord says, I think everybody likes Miko or everybody likes Taolu. They're just some of the more difficult characters to play. So what skirmish and scenario difficulty levels do you most enjoy playing? It's the first time the adventure difficulty gets dominated. Heroic is dominantly by far people's favorite difficulty level to play. Nightmare with multiple, it actually gets a lot more credit. And I actually think that to me, Nightmare is like the way to play Deliverance. It gives you all of that variety and enough randomness and scariness that it's a true test. And then Abyssal, that's what I play when I want to feel like I can lose. As the creator of the game, like I will lose Abyssal games. And Infernal is there for people that are sadistic and like to cause themselves pain, and also so that people will actually play Abyssal. And if Infernal's the highest difficulty level, people will give Abyssal a try. So dominantly, yes, people have played the Deliverance campaign at this point. Only 4 out of the 95 people said that they haven't. So and I asked, how'd you do in the campaign? Um, you have I wish I asked no, we never started. So this no, we started but stopped. I think that the majority of players are saying no, that that kind of thing. And oh, hang on, my wife is hitting me. So okay, back at it. Okay, so I think that's where it comes from. So it's roughly, closing in on 30% of people are still between missions 1 and 5. And of the people that did complete the campaign, look at what size of this pie chart. They're either between mission 6 and 12. They've opened the box, so they're at least 12 missions in, or they have completed it. A quarter of people have completed it at this point. I want to say that's like, closing in on 70% of the audience. What are we at? 7 plus 25 plus 32. I mean, more like 65%. So we'll say like 2/3 of people have actually done at least 5 missions in the campaign. And to me, that says that the first 5 missions are the most important missions, because those are the ones that the majority of people are going to play. And so, hopefully we can get more of these people to make it through, and all of that. Okay, so now this is where it gets really interesting about the campaign story. You have a huge difference in people's opinion on the story. I wrote the story myself, and I think personally the story was a 5. But I'm also biased, so maybe it was really a 4. I don't know. So we have somebody that is a professional author, published author, did Pilgrim's Progress Reloaded, and his name is David Umstadt. He is going to be redoing the entire Deliverance story. It's actually we have a draft we're looking at right now, and it is so much better than what I put together, guys. It's awesome. He's doing not only the first campaign, he's doing the next Deliverance expansion story, as well as all of the scenario stories from now on. Really excited about that. So I have a feeling this number is going to really, really increase. It's something that I recognized, probably one of the most important areas of change in Deliverance, and we're addressing that. Contrast that with how much did you enjoy the campaign gameplay? You had the majority of players love the campaign gameplay, and it cascaded as I feel like it should if, generally players love the game. So like, the majority are at 7 out of 7 as far as enjoyment, then 6 out of 7 is next, and then it sharply falls off after that. So what was your favorite thing about the campaign? This was very interesting, and I don't want to spend all the time on this, but in general, the power curve, the the way you progress and choose your talents and whatnot, that summarizes a lot of what people said here. Building up their character, gaining new talents and items makes it feel like an adventure. Actually, I think that so in Deliverance, I expected the innovation in the game was in the darkness track and how you had to balance the combat, of the demons against the threat of the darkness. You can't, do perfectly against both, so you kind of have to figure out what in the darkness track you'll put up with, and what in with the demons you'll put up with before you get wiped out. And that balance, that tactical decision making that was required to navigate, I thought was very innovative, because a lot of games like this, a lot of skirmish based games are, play some mini game until you can finally press your biggest button, and to deal the damage, and or just build up and run away and then press your biggest button to deal the most damage. And that is not Deliverance. So I figured that was very innovative. But also, the players are telling me, and reviewers also are talking about the character progression. That's like a huge thing for everybody. The way that talents help you could play the same character 20 games in a row and you would have a very different experience every single time. So that was really encouraging. That a lot of angel development, character progression, a lot of leveling up. Somebody loved the story. Awesome. But yeah, I mean, tons and tons of progression. Oh, this guy loved killing Bale in one round. That's awesome. Cheater, hacker. But yeah, I think that that's, the dominant thing that people, people loved the theme and they loved that about the Angels. So next I asked, what would you guys like most in the expansion? And you dominantly, and I gave you the ability to select all that applied. More Angels to play was number one, and we've got more Angels to play. More demons to fight, and we've got a bunch more demons to fight. And next thing is more campaign missions. And not only do we have more campaign missions, we have more. We are actually going to be including scenario missions that are actually it's very close. The physical scenario book add-on. We are going to create a physical scenario book with every scenario pack mission that we've done. We're going to update them so that they are. We're going to really focus on balancing them as well as creating new ones, brand new ones that will get unlocked via some stretch goals and that kind of thing, because that's work, and we need to be able to afford to do that. And then of course the book gets thicker and that sort of thing. So those are really awesome. Super glad you guys love those. So now this was very interesting because I asked this question in 2021. We did a survey, received about 400 responses also, and the new talent cards for the base game Angels was not very important comparative to now, but now it's very, very important. And this is how we plan on actually adding. I don't know if it's a spoiler or anything, but it's kind of an insight into my plan for the expansion. We are going to do stretch goals for new talents for the base game Angels. We want those base game Angels to continue to grow and progress so that there's not this feeling of like, well, the base game Angels are weaker than all the other Angels, because the other Angels do cool stuff. So we're going to have, new talents, all the new, let's say, new status effects. Azrael will be able to leverage the new status effects and other things like that. So that's very important. Now, the next one's more treasure, darkness, and prayer cards. I think you guys are generally telling me more. You want more of the same things. Update pack is very important, but more is really important. So the one thing that I forgot to ask is t-shirts. I did not ask about t-shirts, and I wish I did because they were so popular. We sold almost 1,000 t-shirts, and I'm actually wearing a t-shirt. Got my Michael the Archangel here, right there. Very proud of that shirt. It is in such good condition still. It's like, just, they cost a lot of money, holy cow, but to actually make them, but they are really high quality and they last forever. So I mean, it's awesome for, just walking around conventions and that kind of thing. So yeah, so that was really cool. Now there were a bunch of other individual question or responses that people had, and so I thought that but generally you guys heard the big ones. Now this gave me personal encouragement. There's one person who's not going to back the Kickstarter at all. Like that, okay, that's all right. I'm glad people are honest, but look at, almost 60% of you said that you're basically 7 out of 7, you're going to back this Kickstarter. And then the next large percentage said that you're backing a, likelihood of 6 out of 7, which is really high. And then it kind of falls off sharply. I found it interesting. 5 and 4 were similar, but this is really encouraging because that's like what I'm working for. This is like my kind of, in a way, my life's work for the last 8 years, and it's nice to see that a lot of you guys are really on board. We can take this number and say, okay, this as a sample size, our audience is 5,600 people, and of the people who are engaged, let's say half of that number, 2,300, I take 60% of them, and if 60% of 2,300, I don't know what that number is. Let's do that. Let's do math. We have 1,380 backers that are currently on our email list right now, which is a number that I can really kind of is a tangible thing. Whatever the average pledge value is going to be, 1,380 people will be there at the start of our Kickstarter or whatever. That's huge. And that's before we turn on the marketing machine. So there you go. So now the next, that gives encouragement to me, that you guys really like this game and want more of it, So the next one is just questions related to price. We're going to try to make that deluxe expansion at $69. So that expansion only pledge is 69. But then I asked about the all in, if higher price equals better and more stuff. And over half of you said the $100 to $130 price tag is where you want the all in to be for the expansion. So we will also have like a base game reprint that, for those that want the base game and can't find it. We're under 100 units right now in May, and they're definitely not going to last very long. So we're sold out in a lot of other regions, but in the US we have like 64 units left or something. So but yeah, so I mean 75%, 76%, 75.9 if you guys are math nerds like me, are willing to pay at least $100 for the all in. And that's at least the way I took it. I think that you should take some of these numbers with a grain of salt, because 100 to 130 is the lowest all in that you can get. I mean, if we had like a 70 to 90 or like 70 to 100, we might get a little more realistic numbers. I'm sure this number 51% would be split part way from like 70 to 100. So that's, understandable. Then I asked about the Archangel Investor Pledge and the Angel Investor. Most of you said the pledges aren't for you, but 22 of you said that you would consider the Angel Investor Pledge. 4 of you said you would consider Archangel, and one, who was not my mom, I confirmed, said they're definitely jumping into the Archangel Investor Pledge, which is really, really cool. So I'm trying to think about if we should do another painted miniatures set for the Angel Investor and other things like that. So and then I asked a question. I don't think I'm going to do this, but what if we added that you would receive every game we ever made from, this point on? And I got people reaching out to me from big name companies that know me. They were like, just so you know, we really, really regret doing this. There were a couple of people that reached out. But I mean, it would dramatically increase your interest if we did that. It's what's pretty clear. So, and is there any other feedback that you'd like to give? I asked that. And lastly, I asked if you voted for Deliverance in the Golden Geek Awards, and over a third of you said that you haven't yet, but you plan on it. And I want to mention this. So we have the website for the Golden Geek Awards is you can go to Board Game Geek. It's right on the homepage, and I'll also put the link in the show notes to vote in the Golden Geek Awards. But this is a huge number. I mean, 157 of you could make the difference between winning an award and not winning an award, or placing top 3 and being nowhere. And that type of thing, I just really want to encourage you guys, if you do love Deliverance and you want to vote, please do it right away. Voting closes on the 12th. I want to say you get to vote all the way through Sunday, which is the 12th. I believe Board Game Geek is on Central Time. So, whatever, 11 p.m. Central Time is when voting closes or so. But please do vote. For so many of you have. There are a bunch that aren't planning on it at all, and that's fine. You guys don't use Board Game Geek and all of that. And that won't disqualify you from winning the contest, so that you do have a chance of winning painted minis, a free game, or nice sketch, original sketch artwork. But yeah, so for the third of you that have voted, thank you so much. For the almost 39% of you that have not yet voted, please vote. This is a call to action of, it's just as clear as I can make it. Please vote. It makes such a big difference. If we win something, it benefits everybody, because the giveaway doubles, and then Deliverance actually, gets some notoriety. Now, if we don't win, it's all right. We were nominated for 5 awards, which places us in the same boat as Chip Theory Games' Too Many Bones, which is awesome. And so it's something that, we've been nominated, and that's a real honor in and of itself. So thank you guys. I wanted to share all of that with you. Thank you for your feedback. It makes a huge difference. If you haven't yet given your feedback, I'll still take it. Your opinion is valued. We actually make changes based upon one single line. It might be huge difference. This is actually something that we're really thinking about, just as another consideration. We've really considered. So if some people really don't like losing to randomness in any way, Deliverance is so deterministic, except for some dice rolls, and sometimes it just you hit the wrong dice roll and it feels bad. Um, and so we're thinking about it. We're thinking about, is this the right thing to do? How would we do it if we did? And that kind of thing. So I hope you guys found that valuable and interesting and useful. I really appreciate you guys. And if you guys want t-shirts to come back, let me know in the comments. I don't know if, I should have asked. Dang, I should have asked. Thanks, guys. Andrew Lowen with Deliverance, signing out.